Okay, first off, happy Veterans Day weekend. Thank you for your service to the country. Appreciate it.
I was in the Navy 150 years ago. 1958 to 1960, USS Rush, EBR 714 out of Newport, Rhode Island. That was our home base, home port. And it amazes me, I look back on those 2 years active duty with a lot of really fond memories. And it was a wonderful, in truth, growing up time for me. I realized that it didn't matter if you were Catholic or Jewish or Protestant. I realized it didn't matter if you were white or black or yellow or any color. And a lot of the things that I had learned from my dad and my community growing up were just bullshit. I mean, he meant well, but he didn't have a clue. He only knew what he knew. So, but I also realized that while I was living those 2 years active duty, and it was peacetime, there was no war or anything going on. We were never in any real danger other than sinking a couple times in heavy weather off Cape Hatteras and over in the Med and in the North Atlantic. But I know in reality it was not as pleasurable as I remember it to be. But it was a great growing up time. I loved my time on the Rush. I made my dear friend Mikey Urkel from Red Bank, New Jersey, became my dearest friend. And they formed an association so that we still have to this day. Is this too loud? Am I talking too loud or anything? It's okay. We still have reunions once every 2 years. I haven't gone to any of them since Mike died about 10 years ago or so. The ship itself, the USS Rush, it steamed until 1978 or 80, somewhere in there. Then it was sold to the South Korean Navy for $1, and it steamed with the South Korean Navy under a different name, which I can't even pronounce. And they were going to sink it at the end of their its usefulness. And that's what they do is they don't turn it into scrap. They sink it to make another like reef for fish and wildlife and stuff under the sea to make a home for them. But the Rush Association convinced them to make it a military honor kind of ship. So it was in this little South Korean port for years as a memorial ship destroyer to tour for South Koreans. And now, though sadly, it is razor blades. It went for scrap. But that was my time on the Rush. I loved it. I loved my years in service. They were a great benefit to me.
Veterans Day, I believe tomorrow's your birthday, right?
True.
So happy birthday, Tom.
Happy birthday. 85 years old.
Love to see that you're still acting. I just last night watched the Creep Show episode that you're in. Fantastic. It's awesome.
It was silly.
It was good.
Have you ever heard of the Minion Tower? It's a creature that lives beneath the surface of the earth.
Fantastic. So my question is about...
Killed me at the end of the episode.
Oh, yeah. Don't ruin it. It's a new episode.
Everybody. I'm glad. They deserve it. They were hellish. children and in-laws.
So my question is about your acting. I have read that you still, I don't know if you still do this, but you were doing like plays in Pittsburgh like once a year.
Yeah.
Do you still?
I retired.
You retired from?
I retired from theater. I don't do theater anymore. But what he was referring to is that I did a lot of theater all my life from 1967. The first thing I auditioned for out of the American Academy of Dramatic Arts was a Broadway show, and I got the role and I got the part, so we rehearsed in New York. It was called Keep It in the Family. It was Marina Sullivan, who used to be the old Tarzan's wife in the 40s movies, and Patrick McNee, an old English actor, Burt Brinkerhoff, Karen Black, a bunch of people. And we tried it out. We rehearsed it in New York, tried it out in Boston at the Colonial Theater, and it was a wonderful experience and brand new for me. And I almost got fired. The guy, one of the producers, came up to me. It was a David Merritt show. He was a big producer in New York back in those days. And this other producer came up and said, "Tom, what is that accent you're using?" I said, "Well, it's in Boston, isn't it?" I thought I was trying to do a Boston accent. He said, "Yes, you are, and it's very good, but nobody else is doing a Boston accent. So just be Middle America and leave." I said, "Oh yeah, because I think Merrick was going to say fire that asshole," but he didn't. Thank God it went on. Well, the sad part is we came into New York and it opened and closed in 4 days. So we didn't have much of a run. My first Broadway show was nobody wanted to go see it. It was a little kitchen table play, really sweet, nice. So I went, I called Cleavon Little. Anybody remember Cleavon Little? He was a sheriff in Blazing Saddles. Young black guy, wonderful actor. He, well, he's dead now, but he and I were at the Academy together. He played Iago, I played Othello. It was kind of a reverse on those two roles, and we had a great time. So I called Cleavon and I said, "Cleavon, the show closed. I got nowhere to live. Come on down, Tom. You can live here until you get something together." So he and I lived together somewhere south of Houston in New York for about a month or so, and then I got it joined. Moved on. So anyway, I'm retired from theater yet, but I did it all my life until about 10 years ago, and I retired. But I'm still wide open for film and TV. So John Carpenter. I've been dear friends with Adrienne Barbeau since 1974. And my first wife, who passed away this past year, Garn Stevens, played, I forget her name, in the original Grease, and Adrienne Barbeau was in the original Grease Broadway version, not the movie, but on Broadway in New York. So I met Adrienne and Garn then, and when I went to California in '74, they were already out there, and went to Thanksgiving dinner at Adrienne's house with Garn, and we got ripped on some good weed, and I ended up leaving and going down to Baroni's in Burbank for pizza. I didn't even stay for dinner. I left. but we've been dear friends ever since then. And I see, here's an interesting bit. I haven't forgotten your question, but here's an interesting piece of trivia for all of you, and some of you might know it. But Adrienne Barbeau and I have been in 4 films together and never on screen together in any of those films. So, John Carpenter, Adrienne started dating John, and she called Garn and me and said, so, I think this is getting serious. I want you to meet this guy. And he has a movie premiering at the Directors Guild in a couple of days. Will you come to see it? Absolutely, sure. So we went to see Halloween at the Directors Guild over in Hollywood. And we were all living out in Studio City. And I took Garn and a good friend of hers, Jeannie, whose husband ran a Russian restaurant in the Fairfax district. But Jeannie is on one side, Garn is on the other, I'm in the middle, and all the way through the movie they kept doing this. Oh my God. Can we look? Can we look? Yeah, look now. Oh, you bastard! Oh, God. All through the movie. It scared the shit out of them, and it scared the shit out of me. It was a wonderful, wonderful movie. That's how I met John, that night after the movie, and we've been friends since. And he offered me to roll in The Fog, and for which I am eternally grateful. And it's one of my favorite, lovely, wonderful, old-fashioned ghost stories. It's not real gory or anything. And he was a little worried about it not being scary enough, so he added some stings, what they call stings, in the beginning with the gas pump coming out, falling on the ground, and shit coming off shelves in the store and stuff like that. And it perked it up and got people in the mood, and it was I loved making that. It was in the most gorgeous part of the country, up in Inverness and Bodega Bay, up north of San Francisco, not too far, on the coast, and Point Reyes Lighthouse. Oh my God, it was so beautiful. John and Adrienne got married. Oh, that's what, at the end of the movie, Jeannie and Garn said, we cannot let her marry this guy. But they did get married, and they bought a house up in Inverness. Beautiful glass, redwood home with a sod roof, a grass roof. And I love the one feature of it had concrete floors, but in the concrete were pipes that ran from the fireplace. There was a radiator behind the fireplace, so when you had a fire going in the fireplace, it warmed the whole house floor everywhere. It was great. So that's my stories to John. Well, if Tommy Lee Wallace was here, he would be able to address that better than me. But it was John Carpenter's original intention to write an anthology series of Halloween movies, which means each story would be totally different. And there are millions of Halloween stories. And the Kahn family, who produced and moneyed, financed the original Halloween, said no. No to that idea, because Michael Myers made a fortune on the first one, and we want to make a fortune, so you will make all Halloween movies about Michael Myers. Except, okay, Halloween 3 has already been greenlit, but you cannot call it Season of the Witch. It has to be called Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. And So when it came out, people think Halloween 3, well, here comes Michael. Where the hell is Michael Myers? And that's, Tommy wrote a book called just that, Where the Hell is Michael Myers? And explained the whole thing. Anyway, that's long and short of it. I would love to have seen John make an anthology series, and I have a feeling had he been able to do that, he would have used many of the same actors in many of the same movies, like Jamie Lee and me and a bunch of other people. Kurt probably got Kurt in there and stuff. So anyway, yeah, that's it.